Hi, Tribe. I'm Evelyn, and this is a special edition of Objectively Typed. So Versavia is traveling this weekend. So I've got Kendrick on the line. Kendrick was just recently typed as kind of like my type brother. That's what I've been saying. I've like adopted you as my type brother.
Yeah.
Because we're both NETE. So we're both like ENFP jumpers. So wanted to just compare notes and like interview you for the podcast because we're a similar type and we kind of want to compare and contrast our different types and stuff like that. So we were talking before I started the intro and I was like, wait, hold that thought because that's some good stuff.
Sure.
So when did you get your type? It was like Tuesday or something, or?
I got my type back on a Friday.
Okay. Oh, so it's just a couple days.
16th, I think. It was 16th, I think.
Okay. Yeah. And then today's, yeah. So it was just a couple days ago. So we're recording this on the 18th. So it's been like 2 days. So like you're freshly typed.
Right.
But what you were saying before we started was that because you met Dave like a year ago or probably like 8 months ago, because he was here for January, right? Is that when you met him?
I met Dave for the first time last January in Seattle, but I actually spoke to him already last year in August.
Yeah.
Over the phone, yeah.
Okay. And so they had been thinking that you were, have they always thought that you were NETE, or did they ever think that you were just a standard ENFP? Was it always NETE for them?
I remember the very first time I spoke to Dave on the phone last year, right before we got off the call, he said, "Hey man, I think you're NETE."
Yeah. Okay.
You know? He's like, just think about it. You know, that's
okay. Okay. It was one of those. Yeah. So I guess we should back up. So your official type is MF, NETE, play, blast, consume, sleep, right? And my official type is double masculine, NETE, play, consume, blast, sleep. So like really similar, right? I mean, we both have masculine sensory. You've got feminine extroverted decider. I've got masculine extroverted decider. NETE saviors. The difference is I'm play consume and you're play blast. So like we can kind of talk about that because I know you're still kind of mulling that over.
Right.
And then we're both sleep last, right?
Right.
So those are kind of like the overview of the differences between us, if you will. So what I was thinking is I think it would be interesting or fun. Look, I am totally NT. so I always think things are interesting. Like I never say like, oh, it'd be fun to do this. Like I'm always like, this would be interesting. So to just kind of like walk through the doc, if you will, like go down the checklist. Versavia and I did that when we went through, we did an episode on our types and we just kind of went through the checklist, you know. So observer decider, right? You've always known that you're an observer. You've known for a long time that you were an ENFP, right?
Well, like when I was in college, I got officially typed by MBTI. So they had a practitioner come in and they administered the test, you know, and I got the test back as ENFP. And even when I did my self-test online, you know, those online questionnaires, I got ENFP. And after I spoke to Dave, he said, "You're an ENFP, NET." So I was like, okay, well, it's been consistent.
Right. Yeah, and for those of you that just follow our stuff, so Kendrick has a channel called ENFP Male where you've been going down and like interviewing people from all different types and stuff. Like how many interviews have you done? You've done a ton of interviews.
52.
52. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And that's the thing I remember about you when you first came on the group. I think the first one of the videos I saw of you was when you and Dave were in the car, like during the Seattle meetup. Yeah.
Yeah, that's his car.
Yeah. And so like me, so I'm an ENFP also, but like I never tested as an ENFP until I got my official OPS type. Like I always was getting like ESTJ or ENTJ or INT. It's always like TJ for me.
Right.
So for me, like TE was like, yeah, you know, for sure.
That's where you live.
Yeah, that's where I live, right? And so the surprising thing was, oh, I'm an EP? Like what? Like I have to get used to this. So when I saw your video, I was like, oh, okay, what's he doing? Like ENFP male, like I need to learn about what it means to be an ENFP because I had you know, I had no idea. So
Right.
that's what I remember was when you came on the scene with your interviews and stuff like that. So that's cool that you've got 52. That's a lot of gather.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so we've been and then we've been kind of chatting about being an ENFP. I feel like you have a really good like sense of that type, like what the struggles are and things like that. So did you kind of, once you got that Myers-Briggs result, did you kind of study ENFPs, or how did you get such a good understanding of what it means to be an ENFP?
I think the first resource material I used was CareSay, you know, Please Understand Me Too.
Yep.
I had the first one too, the Please Understand Me one, but that one wasn't as good as the Please Understand Me Too.
Yeah.
And then I kind of read through the, you know, like what kind of stuff would you have to do in your life to boost your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and they tied it to a few things like, you know, being altruistic, for example, would boost, I think it was either self-esteem or self-confidence.
Yeah.
And then they also kind of put you in a specific role. In that book, they called you the champion. So, and essentially the champion, from what I've seen, is you're the kind of the person that kind of leads the pack, right? Like you're kind of the guinea pig, and you'll kind of do the experimental stuff, and people who might be afraid of doing it first, you're the person that does it first. And then after you do it first, then you kind of tell the tribe about it.
Is that for all ENFPs, or is that EPs in general, or ENFP specifically?
I think that's an ENFP specific trait. Like it's like we'd like to gather experiences.
Yeah. Okay.
So after we've gathered an experience, whatever that area might be, then we like to share it to the tribe afterwards.
Right.
We'd like to get that first-hand experience first.
Yeah. I think I have Please Understand Me. I think it's the first one. I don't think I have the second one. So
no, get the second one. The first one is not that good.
Yeah.
Outdated. It's outdated.
It's outdated. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. So definitely. So we're kind of talking about organize over gather. So, you know, both of you and I, we're both lead NE. It's all about gathering. I think for me, it's been gathering new like skills and knowledge and stuff like that. And I know you've done a ton of travel and things like that. Like you went around the world, right? Didn't you go around the world?
Yeah, I took a year off to go backpacking. So it lasted 380 days in total, and
wow.
I visited over 70 countries in that time period. And I mixed
Have you been to all the continents, or just?
I haven't been to Antarctica yet.
Antarctica, yeah.
But I've been to 6 out of 7, and
nice.
Yeah, but so I kind of mixed my travel. So half of it was slow, where like I spent 1 month in one country, and then the other 6 months I kind of just went crazy, like 3 days here, 7 days here, 1 day here.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm only there for a few hours. Sometimes I'm there for like just 1 hour, just to kind of jump in the board and jump back out. So it was definitely like a mixed bag. But yeah, that's what I did. It was definitely. It doesn't get any more gathery than
that. Yeah, absolutely. That's So what's your favorite country that you've been to then? I can't help but ask.
I would have to say my top 5. So
okay. Yeah, of course. I don't know why I asked that. Like that's fine. I'm the same way. Ask me my favorite anything. I'm always like, I could give you 3. Yeah.
I would say number 1 is South Africa. That was hands down the best and most eye-opening experience in my life, because I think, like, I went there with my girlfriend. We rented a car and we drove from Johannesburg all the way to Cape Town.
Yeah.
And then along the way, you know, we just saw kind of what authentic African life was like. And, you know, people were poor, living in rural areas. And, you know, they were so happy. They would run out of their house and they would have this big smile on their face and wave at us. And, you know, it was so like kind of like heartwarming and heart tugging. Like it kind of pulls in your heartstrings.
Yeah.
Whenever you saw that, when I saw that, especially like the kids would just walk by. At first, they kind of look at us suspiciously, because like, who are these like Chinese people, right? but me and my girlfriend would always wave at them enthusiastically, and they would have like the biggest smile on their face afterwards. And I felt like they almost didn't know which category they wanted to put us in, because like we weren't white, so it's like kind of like like where did these guys go? But anyways, it was like, I love animals too. So when we went there, I got to see the rhino. I saw giraffes, Pumbaa, you know, Seth Rogen.
The warthog.
Yeah, the warthog. Yeah. I saw like elephants and
That's cool.
buffaloes. So, it was a really good experience. I love every minute of it. So that's number one. Number two was Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
I spent actually 38 days in Colombia. I was backpacking I crossed over from Ecuador, and then I kind of went from west to east of the country. And I even did some volunteer work working in a hostel where my job was to translate from English to Spanish. And I didn't speak any Spanish.
Okay, I was gonna ask if you spoke
No,
Spanish.
no, I don't. So that's what made the job even more
Great.
interesting. Yeah, but I actually learned as I went through, because the Spanish people, the Colombians started teaching me, right? Like I was working in a kitchen once, and I was cutting vegetables, and they would teach me Spanish in the kitchen, and I was like, oh. Yeah. And I think as an ENFP, because you have you're pretty good at gathering and improvising.
That's what I find as an ENFP. It's just like whatever's happening, we can just sort of turn and think of a new idea and just go with it. Yeah.
So I noticed that, like, when I was kind of looking at the other volunteers, they had a trouble picking up Spanish compared to me. And I think that from what my observation that I noticed was that because they were trying to bury their nose on the books,
right,
trying to memorize like the vocabulary, while I was just there like making an ass of myself, to learn this. And I think making an ass of yourself is the best way to learn.
Yeah, just go for it. Yeah,
and then I'll just go quickly for the next three. So Malaysia and Thailand is Thai.
Okay.
And Poland would be my fifth.
Okay, cool. Cool. That reminded me, as you were talking about South Africa, when we did our interview, for your channel, you asked me, I don't know if it was before or after or during or whatever, but at some point you asked me about my background, and after that, I actually did get my 23andMe results.
So what are you? What kind of African are you?
I am like a quarter Nigerian.
Okay,
like a quarter, like 23. Yeah, well, of course, I knew it was going to be West Africa, but I was surprised because like my dad has had his done and my daughter's had hers done, but my mom passed away like 3 years ago. So that's why I wanted to get mine because because I'm not sure about like her side. So I think my mom's side was probably more Nigerian than my dad's side because my dad's side is more like Congolese. I mean, it's still West African, right? But
so
it's like, what's that?
What's your exact breakdown?
I can bring it up. Hold on.
25% Nigerian. What's the other one?
It was 23% Nigerian. I'm trying to hold my phone over here so it doesn't screw with the mic. I've noticed that when it tries to find the cells lingo. All right, so it's 23% Nigerian, 15% Ghanaian, Liberian, Sierra Leone. So it's like West Africa, like the Ivory Coast kind of.
I guess back then they weren't one country. I mean, they weren't separate countries. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then 13% British Irish, which I kind of knew. Like,
okay.
Yeah, that like the name Cash is a British name. So that one I wasn't surprised. And then after that, they just give me broadly. So it says like 12% broadly West African and 6% broadly Northern European. So it's like clearly Africa, Europe. And like if you really break it down, so like those are the big numbers, but like way down there was a little tiny bit of Native American, like 1% Native American.
Oh, how did that happen?
This is you're Canadian, but like I'll tell you, in America, all Black people say they have a Cherokee ancestor. Like,
oh really?
This, yeah. So I'm sure there's somebody.
1% is so small, right? Like it's kind of.
It is. It might be in the air. It's like I don't even know.
Well,
like,
I know everyone's 1% African because
that's true.
We all came from Africa, but
exactly. So yeah, breaking down the they have like a little haplo group thing that kind of shows the migration out of Africa.
Yeah.
That was kind of interesting too, because obviously mine is primarily African, but still lots of European in there too. I have almost no Neanderthal whatsoever.
Really?
Like none. Yeah.
I heard about that with like African peoples. Africans don't have any Neanderthal.
No.
You don't have any like they said that the more Neanderthal blood you have, the more hairy you are. So you're you're not hairy then.
No, I'm good.
You don't have to shave.
My kids will be good. Yeah. So I did get my 23andMe partially. I had been thinking about it, but like when you asked me that, I was like, I should just go do this. So thanks.
Yeah.
I gathered more data. So now let's talk about self above tribe. We were chatting about that a little bit, and I think this is where I cut you off. I was like, let's do the episode.
Yeah, sure.
Because like you have your channel, ENFP Male. You've kind of known that you're an ENFP for a long time, but you were thinking of the traditional like consume first NEFI ENFP,
right? And
you came back as NETE.
Right.
So how do you see that showing up? I know it's been 2 days, but like, what are you thinking that?
Well, no, because I already molded over. Like I know they accused me of not listening to them, right? Even when I was listening to their audio recording,
Yeah.
when feedback, they're like, well, we're giving you hints this whole time, and clearly it wasn't penetrating. And I just made it seem it wasn't penetrating. I actually been thinking about it deeply. When I'm at work or whatnot, like I don't drive with the music on, right? Because I like to process what I'm feeling, like what I'm thinking. And like I was kind of looking back at my SI, right? Kind of like seeing how I felt in every moment in my life, because it's gonna take a long time to kind of process like moments, right? So
Yeah.
like basically it came down to like a few moments that made me realize, oh right, like I am tribe above self, because like when I was trying to, in my dating phase, I would be scared to talk to a girl, not because I was scared to talk to a girl, but because there was people around us and they're going to be eavesdropping on our conversation. Right. And I was scared of the other people, not so much what like the girl thought. Actually, I was okay with that. So I was like, okay, that's why I was like, if I was self above tribe, I wouldn't give a shit what the other people would think. I'll just do my own stuff, right?
Yeah, just do what you want. Yeah.
Right. So because I gave a shit, it was clearly like, oh, I see, because I their opinion mattered to me. You know, how they perceive me mattered to me. So I'm like, shit. Right. And even like with my girlfriend too, so like sometimes we'll be in public and she'll be doing like goofy dumb stuff, and like I wouldn't do a goofy dumb stuff because I don't want to look bad, right? So it's like, so I was like, okay. Now the weird thing.
Yeah, go ahead, finish.
Yeah. So like in their recording, they said that like, cause I said it. The first thing I said during the typing video was that when I was 3 years old, my mom locked me out of her bedroom.
Oh.
And I wanted to get in her bedroom. So I actually, in the video, during the typing video, I said that my mom was a controlling person and she was also selfish. And they said, so that means it's somebody that has sleep, savior, and definitely probably an IJ or an IP kind
IP,
of, or a mix, probably an IJ IP or
IJ IP, yeah.
And then, so I got locked out of that bedroom, and then I had to call my grandma to get me back in the bedroom. And right when I got back in the bedroom, the first thing that I said to myself at that very moment was like, no one is going to love me. I have to love myself. I have to love myself, because I'm not going to get love from anyone else. So they said that in because I said that to myself when I was 3, I convinced myself that from hence on forward, I'm only going to care about myself.
Okay.
Just because my mom kind of isolated me from her. So it's kind of been like a reoccurring theme since growing up, was that I'm always going to pick myself. But the truth is, if I was left to my own devices, and what feels more not as a conscious effort, but like something that's more fluid and easy, was that if I went out of my way to help someone. Actually, that's, to me, that's super easy. That doesn't take any effort at all. But I noticed that every time I press that me button first, I am consciously pressing that button.
Yeah. Now, well, and the thing I was going to say is, I've had my type for about a year now. So I've been NETE for a while. And I got to say that, like, as a jumper, it's really close, like we aren't EJs,
No,
and it's just, like you said, it's like when I press the self button, there's this little part of you that's like, I'm conscious that I'm doing it. Like it's, whereas when we defer to the tribe, it's just like natural, but it's, my experience thus far is like, when they say that we're balanced between self and tribe, we really, really are. Like, and with you, with masculine self, you're probably pushing that self button more easily maybe than me. I don't know. Maybe you're better about knowing where that button is. I think maybe that's what it is.
I think my girlfriend has feminine FI, and she definitely she struggles to press that feminine F, even though she's self above tribe.
Yeah.
She has trouble pressing that button. Is it because it's feminine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I think, and so yeah, let's chat about that a little bit, because you've got the masculine FI and I've got the feminine FI. Right. I think for me, it's like, I don't even know where to press it, like, because it's so movable.
What does that mean?
Yeah, what's like, what do I actually want? Like, that's what it comes down to a lot of times. It's like, it's hard to be clear about, like, this is the thing I want, therefore I'm going to go for it. Whereas like my husband also has masculine FI, and he never understands that. Like, he never gets why it takes me so long to like figure out what I actually want. He's like, do what you want. I'm like, well, hold on, I got to figure this out. Like, it's not that clear, and or it moves, right? And so I think that's part of the reason why feminine FI, it's like, it's harder to act from it because it's movable, right?
Yeah, I've seen my girlfriend have the same struggle as you, like kind of like, hold on, I don't know what I want. She has masculine T also, right? So she's like, hold on, like punching me back.
Right,
like,
we punch you at it, yeah.
I'm like, oh, come on, give me a break. So,
yeah, we'll totally punch you and say like, give me space, you know.
Hold on. I hate that saying. Hold on. Go punch you, right? But whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, you knew that too, right? Like, before getting your type, you never thought you were masculine TE, did you? You didn't think that? I don't think so.
No, I was quite aware that my T is feminine, because like from my experience, like whenever I have like an execution that I have to do, I never do it without double checking with the tribe first, like kind of, because I'm insecure about, like, it might be, it's probably right, but I'm like I'm not secure with it, you know. Like, I'm practicing it now. It's hard. Like, I'm practicing executing without asking anyone first.
Yeah. Well, and I think that insecurity, that is a really good way to put it for the FI for me too. Like, my FI is insecure. Right. And so like in my case, because my masculine TE is the savior and my feminine FI is the demon and insecure, it's like pretty clear cut. It's like, oh yeah, that's
it is, right.
You know, whereas I could see with you that's a hard tension, right? Like, you've got a savior that's feminine, so it's a little insecure, but and they're balanced. So, I mean, it's going to be pretty balanced between that FI and that TE. And so maybe it's just a matter of getting the TE cranking on its own, you know? Did they give you anything on that? Did they give you any advice on hardening your TE?
Well, it's weird. No, they didn't at all, because they think my biggest weakness was consume, right? And to me that was kind of like that. That's why I maybe they are right that I am consumed third. It's possible, but their reasoning behind it to me was it did not resonate. Like, looking at my SI track record, right? Like, because I did read a lot of books. Like,
let's talk about consume, because I was curious about that, because when you look at like my bubbles versus your bubbles kind of thing, your activations, your SI would be the activated demon. And so like, what's your experience been like with SI? Has it been a challenge? Like, I think at one point we were chatting and you said you learned how to use your SI. So how do you use it? Like, how did you find your SI, if you will?
You know, I didn't even know how to use it until Dave Superpower started putting his video out again, right? Like, when he started putting the videos out, that's when I learned how to use it. I'm like, oh, I see. So for ENFPs, the way we use SI is FISI or SIT, right?
Yeah.
So either blast or sleep, right? So I didn't even know that. But then when the videos came out, I was like, oh my God, this is perfect, because now I have something to work with, right? Like, now I know how to hone that SI.
Yeah.
So the first advice that they gave me a long time ago, you know, when they thought I had blast as a demon, was like, you need to rob from your consume and give it to your blast. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. So I actually, I used to read 30 books a year. That I had like I would never not read 30 books a year. That was my quota, right? That I had to hit. Obviously I like to read too. I have like I get energized from reading, but basically, so they said, go rob from your consume, give it to your blast. I'm like, okay. So I actually start reading that much. I only read like 2 books a year now, which sucks. I actually miss it. But and that's what I started doing. I started blasting pretty much, like, you know, making videos, like crazy too. Like I cranked out those interviews like mad, right? Like but I feel like it's because I get really obsessive. Like when I have a goal in mind, I get super obsessed over that goal. Like I want to hit this. I want to hit this, and nothing's gonna stop me from hitting this.
Yeah. So I hear that.
I will do anything to hit that goal. So for me, hey, you know what? It's 12 interviews a month, and I would be scrambling every month to hit my quota, which is 12. Right? There was one day I was supposed to do 3 interviews. One guy bailed out. I'm not gonna name him. I never spoke to him again after that.
Oh no.
I'm masculine, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, like, F this guy. This guy's he's a piece of crap, right? So
yeah, my husband does that. Like, it's like, you are on the shit list now.
he's in my shit list now, and he's famous too.
Oh no. Okay.
I don't give a shit if he's famous. To me, he's my shit list.
Right.
He's a piece of shit. So now it's a guy. Anyway, so
he or she.
Mina would know who this person is because
okay.
I was supposed to interview him after I interviewed
Okay.
Mina. And then like Raja jumped in because Raja's blast first. So I'm like, oh, thank God, Raja. Oh my God. Like, he just jumped in, did the interview. I'm like, sweet. You know what? Hey man, blast all you want. Go blast all you want.
Yeah.
And, but basically, like, I would do anything like whatever it takes to hit the goal. And
right.
And like, to me, what I feel like what happened was like, I did such a good job, like with blasting,
right,
that people now think I'm a blaster, and I'm like, okay. I think it's a compliment, in a sense that, because I did struggle with it because it took me 8 years to start ENFP Male, right? Like, I had to read, not just a Kersey book, but I read a bunch of Enneagram books too, right? Like The Idiot's Guide to the Enneagram and whatnot. And Dave Superpower's channel. And then before I launched it, I only launched it because I was thinking about it for 8 years already. And then when they said, go blast, just do it. Like in the meetup, they're like, why aren't you doing it already? I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, well, let's go launch it. So so I did. And then I've been doing it this whole time. And like the biggest, like what I really felt when I got my type back was like, I felt misunderstood. And I felt a little bit frustrated because I was like, okay, well, I think play, blast, consume is actually a really good type. It's like, it's unstoppable.
It is unstoppable. Unstoppable. Yeah.
But like, looking at my struggles using my S-high track record, I mean, I'm basing this on, the 2 or 3 days since I got my type back.
Right.
I'm still going to mull it over, but my track record, like, I did not use any blast until I was 31 years old.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I was in my 30s when I started using blast more consistently, and
that's a good point. Like, so I mean, again, it's it's one of those things where obviously, like, that was the opinion that they gave this time, like you said, and so you clearly got that blast consume, like, they're close. So whichever one is the demon, it's probably a demon you've kind of worked with. Actually, you seem pretty well balanced in general, because I think we haven't talked about sleep yet, but I think you mentioned that they said that you're doing your sleep well as well, right? So yeah, I mean, I kind of, for my own self, I'm like, okay, consume. It's funny because before I got my type, I thought I was demon consume. Like, I was sure that I was demon consume. I think for me, it was because I wasn't reading like 30 books a year or anything like that. Like, I always felt like I never took in sensory. I think because I have SI demon, I don't like to take in a whole lot of new sensory. Like, it's like I have to go through the SE to get to my NE eventually. I just want the ideas. I don't want to deal with anything else. And so I thought for sure I was like either consume last or, well, I knew I was an extrovert. So I was like, consume's got to be last, right? So I came back as savior consume, and I was like, really? Like, I don't feel like I am. So, and what they told me for mine was, I respect the consume. So it seems like I'm not good enough at it, when in fact I'm doing it all the time without recognizing it. So I'm not doing it formally. I'm not doing it necessarily through books, but like, I'm always listening to an audiobook or a podcast or taking in new information constantly. To the point where it's like unconscious. So yeah, with your blast and your consume, it sounds like, it's hard to say. I mean, it's been 2 days, so like, who knows?
Well, your consume is also double feminine, right? So
my consume, is it double feminine? Yes, it's double feminine.
That's why you're more insecure with kind of
back to the insecurity,
bragging about that, maybe, perhaps.
That's true. I would never. Exactly. I can tell that I'm consume above blast though, because like, especially in like at work and stuff like that, like when we're in a meeting, I can tell the people who are like play blast or blast play, because they're able to like take in new information really quickly, organize it, and blast it out like super fast. Whereas I do a lot of like, I'm sitting and I have to like let stuff marinate first before I'll turn on my blast, and then I'll start talking. Like, early in my career, believe it or not, like as extroverted as I am, early in my career, I had a manager tell me like, you need to start speaking up in meetings. I know you have good ideas and you always just sit there and listen. And I was like, oh my God, like, okay, I guess I'll start talking. So similar to what you're saying, like, I don't think I turned on my blast till I was probably in my late 20s, you know, maybe early 30s kind of thing. Same, like it just wasn't something I did. I would, I'll jump in and play with you, or I'll just listen, but I don't feel comfortable getting up and teaching anything yet, you know? So, yeah.
I think for me, like there is a good cross check that Dave and Shan, if I am blast savior. When I took my Strength Finder 2.0 test, I don't know if you've taken Strength Finder.
I have. Yeah. What's yours? Yeah.
My number one ability is activator. Activator is getting started, right?
Yeah.
So I've taken a Strength Finder test twice already, and both times it came out as activator first. So
interesting.
So that getting started is my number one ability. So that would mean blast savior, right? So
would be.
because blast is getting started supposedly, and play blast means I can get started super quickly. Like it's just like crazy, right? So that's also what. And then I also had like communication in my top 5. And people who have high blast are supposed to be good at communicating.
Correct. Yeah. So I mean, there's some.
So
there is picking up something, you know.
There is some evidence to kind of back up their what they say. That's why I'm not ruling it out, right? So I'm thinking, I'm still mulling it over.
Right.
I do think my consumer's really good though. So I'm like,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's a good one.
And that's why I'm stumped. I'm just stumped.
Well, again, it's been 2 days.
Yeah.
I keep saying that, but you know, so that'll be interesting to keep watching it play out and see like where you land on that one. Because it sounds like like you said, like you can't rule it out completely because you've got some cross checks that kind of, you know, are of a kind. So it's not completely out of, like, I think if you had come back as like lead sleep or something, that's like, whoa, that's wrong. Right. Like you're clearly not. But you know, it's like those middle animals. For me personally, a blast above consume is always a bit confusing to me anyway, because, you know, if blast is your SI, it's your known information, sharing with the tribe, you had to take it in somehow. So, and I guess you take it in through the play, you know, I don't know. So
I mean, like I said, I've been trying to just cross-reference with like my track record and
your other stuff. Yeah.
The other track record is that, you know, because essentially that would make me an NT-ST, right? But I have trouble with ST growing up.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not something I'm good at. But NF, like, I know exactly what I want to do with my life. I don't have any problem with like life direction, right? Because NF is a lot of it is purpose too, right?
Correct.
Like, what is the point? Like essentially, right?
Yeah, exactly. What do you value in the abstract? So what's to me, it is a lot of, either your conceptual identity, if it's introverted, or your sort of direction in life, because it's an imagination, the N part, and then F, what you value. Yeah, exactly.
And then I've always felt like I know exactly what I want to do with my life. I know, like, in my 50s what I want to do, in my 40s what I want to do, in my 30s what I want to do,
right?
Is what I want to do. Yeah. I can paint you the clear picture. I don't know how I'm going to get there.
Right.
So I have more trouble with the strategy or like the tactics to get there. But like in terms of saying, do you know what you want to do? I'm like, I can know exactly what it is, you know?
Yeah. Do you think, you know, that struggle with the strategy and tactics and so forth, do you think that's our feminine N? Is that where that's coming from?
I think it's a mix of N and T, to be honest.
Okay.
It's like the N is kind of like the future too, right? It's also future projecting.
Yeah.
Like kind of like a chess piece, and T is like the execution part, right? So
So
I have feminine NE and TE. So like,
it's true.
Yeah, so I see the future, but I don't know how I'm gonna TE my way there. So,
that's true.
By FI, no problem. FI is masculine, right? So I
it's solid. Yeah, it's solid.
I know exactly what it is. Like I'm like I can tell you, like, if someone wakes me up at 5 a.m., like I'm half asleep. Like, hey, Kendrick, tell me what do you want to do in your tell me your life. This is the 5 things you want to do in your life.
You're like 1, 2, yeah.
I can be like, when I'm in my 50s and 60s, I want to start my own school, you know, and like in my, you know, right now, in the next 5 years, I want to be a digital nomad. You know, like I can tell you
Right.
exactly what it is. Like I can just rattle it without, like even if I'm half asleep, right?
Right. And that's, yeah. And for me, I struggle with that. Yeah, exactly. Cause it's feminine. Yeah. That's an excellent point. I feel like our type, the NT play is really good at, like you said, improvising, like in the moment, coming up with a solution that works. Like, I think that is like what we're good at. Now let's just pat ourselves on the back is the in the moment execution. And so like, yeah, at work, that's a lot of what I'm asked to do is, hey, we've got this thing, Evelyn, go deal with it. And so I'm able to do that really quick, but that long term is where, yeah, because of my double feminine consume, that's where I kind of struggle.
That happened to me today too. Like, so I work in the fitness industry. So this morning I went to work and I was training somebody that could potentially be hired as a new employee. So while I was training this girl, or this, the front desk staff went to me and said, Kendrick, aren't you teaching spin today? I said, no, I was not. Like, I don't teach spin on Sundays, number one. And number two, I never volunteered to sub for somebody.
Right.
Spin. They're like, well, there's no spin instructor and you're scheduled. And I'm like, you know, WTF, right? Like, you know, like,
yeah.
So I go in there and there's people waiting. Like they've been waiting for like 6 minutes already since the class is supposed to have started.
Yeah.
And I was just lucky that I was wearing my fitness clothes already. So I jumped in, I taught spin and it was fine. And then I finished it and I said, I was so annoyed, right? Because it's like, they didn't know, like I wasn't scheduled to teach a spin class. So I checked my email looking for the sensory and I couldn't find it because my SI shit, right? So
yes, exactly.
And then I was like,
who knows? Yeah.
It's not here. There's no email that states that I agreed to teach spin on Sunday. So now I'm gonna go talk to my boss next when she comes in. I'll be like, why am I teaching spin when I wasn't scheduled to teach spin?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I've had that too. Like, yeah. or like, cause I substitute teach, fitness classes for this Fit for Mom. It's like stroller strides and stuff. And
so you do it on the side then or what?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. You know, cause I work obviously at Boeing and everything. And so
right.
I have I have a certification to teach body back, which is like after you've had the baby, it's like a fitness class that you do.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So on the weekends and stuff, sometimes I'll do it. But I've done that where like I'm not supposed to teach or I don't know or whatever, and I'm able to just kind of like jump in and do a class, or I've even been known to change a class on the fly just based on what I'm seeing going on with the people, right? It's like, oh, you guys can't handle this much running. We're gonna like change this like right now. Yeah. So let's talk about go ahead. You were gonna say something.
No, I was just curious. So this is a class for moms who's had.
Yeah, it's a company. So there's a franchise called Fit for Mom. And so like their flagship one is stroller stride. So if you're ever at a park and you see like a group of moms with strollers, they'll like run and then stop. And we've got like exercise bands and they'll exercise like out and about.
So are your babies in a stroller?
There's babies in the stroller. Yeah.
And you're sprinting with the babies in a stroller?
Yeah. Well, you're running, right? Like it's not, it's not like a sprint. Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of like the flagship class, but they also offer Fit for Baby, which I think is prenatal classes.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then there's and then there's what I taught, which was body back, which is just moms. So there's no kids in that one. It's more akin to a typical like high interval or high intensity interval training, right? It's like that one is just the moms. We get together in like a fitness center or something like that and train.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I do that. I do a lot of, ENFP. I do a lot of side things. Like
a lot of side things, right?
Yeah, this morning I was at like an obstacle course race training thing. That's why I've got my Spartan headband on.
Yeah.
I
you're double masculine too, right? So
I'm double masculine.
You love that. You love that kinesthetic stuff.
I love it. All about it. Right behind this board is a punching bag because I just need that in my life, So I was going to ask about your masculine sensory. Like, did you, I knew for a while, I think you've always known you were MF, or at least they told you or something that you were MF. And I used to pick on you because I thought you had feminine sensory. I was like, sure you had feminine sensory, but talking to you, you totally do have masculine sensory because you order things, like your memory is very much that masculine.
That's very good. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So did you, do you experience that? Like, does that kind of fit, do you think?
I think that's why I teach spin, because I have a very good ear for music.
Oh yeah.
Like anything auditory, it's almost like my ear is just like, I made a music video, for example, for my 1 year around the world trip.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if you've seen it, but if you watch it, the music really goes well with each scene, right? That's the biggest compliment I got about that. They're like, how do you time it so that every scene goes perfectly with the music? And they're like, wow, this is really professionally well done. And I'm like, how many years have you been video editing? I'm like, that was my first video I've ever done. Right?
Yeah.
I was thinking, I was like, holy shit, I have a knack for
Yeah.
like producing like videos with music. Like music has to be a theme though. So even with spin, like I'm really good with spin. Like people have come up to me and tell me, it's like, wow, the music choice is perfect. And I was like,
and
okay.
That's huge. That's huge with spin. That's huge. So I would love to go to one of your classes one of these days, because
Yeah, you like it.
I cannot stand it when I go to a spin class and the music is not good.
No,
like, because I'm kinesthetic audio, right? Like I still like, I really do feel a strong sort of if there's such a thing as a submodality, mine is absolutely audio, because I'm the same way. Like even with my little classes, like I take time to really pay attention to my playlist and like what I'm gonna pick and have a theme and have it go with everything. So yeah, absolutely. All right.
So I think for me the music is the main thing, but then the kinesthetic goes with the music. Like it's like the Robin to the Batman, you know, like it's that's the best way to explain it, right? Like I mean, I like, look, I'm working in the fitness industry too, right? That's kinesthetic, right? Absolutely. Like to tell you the truth, I like the music more than the kinesthetic stuff, but the kinesthetic stuff I like. I would never not work out, you know?
Right. Yeah, I'm that way too. I would never, that's a good way to put it. I would never not work out. Like I'm not that person that needs to be motivated to do it. If I don't work out, then I'm grumpy. Like it ruins my day if I don't do something physical. So yeah.
I think like the motivation for me is a little bit different than yours. Like for you need to do it so you don't be grumpy, right? Or to feel good. Maybe because that's feminine FI, you know. But you want your feminine FI to be moved through physical movements.
Yeah.
For me, like for me, it's more like a discipline thing, or maybe like I don't want to be the kind of person that gave up on myself, you know. Like I can't respect myself if I'm the kind of person that gave up on my body. Like and also like looking back at my track record, like my family, like my cousin, he's only 36. He's already been in the hospital 3 times for health issues.
Yeah.
You know, I had another cousin been hospitalized, liver problems. My dad passed away from colon cancer. Like everyone in my family has had issues in their health, and you know the kind of health issues they had was preventable through exercise. Like all you had to do was really work out 2 or 3 times a week, and you would have prevented it. And and I was like, you know what? I don't want to follow that path, even though I know hereditary. I can't stop that part. I'll do the part that I can control, and the part I can control is going to the gym.
I could have just I agree with you wholeheartedly. You know, I had an older brother that passed away at 37 because of hypertension. It's like hypertension is preventable. Like you can work with that.
Right.
A lot of that same like motivation. So you're right. Partially it's grumpy, but it's also the same thing of like I don't want to give up on myself, my future, right? If I didn't do this stuff. So yeah. So let's talk about sleep. So both of us are sleep last.
Right.
Which sometimes gets a bad rap, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like, you know, our flavor of sleep, SIFI sleep, is just kind of different, right? So how have you experienced your sleep? Like, do you do anything specifically, or it's just something that's come that you've, you know, developed over time, or like how's that been?
Yeah, you know, I was really happy when they complimented me about how good my sleep is. They actually wanted to type me as sleep third. They said that like my sleep definitely was like I was using it good.
Yeah.
And they said that if I wasn't information dominant, I would have definitely been consumed last.
Okay.
Which is weird, right? But like
that is weird.
Yeah, and I would have been the weird one. But anyway, so like so how I use sleep personally is I do not listen to music when I drive. It's complete silence, and I kind of look back into my past and I connect how I felt in each of those moments, right? Like let's say I had a fight with someone. Why did I fight with that person? What made me like what caused that like anger feeling to bubble up and like lash out at this person. Like, what is this person saying that made me lash out? And I'll like think about it, right? I'll be like, and
I do the same thing. Only with me, I don't know what this is. So I'm kind of curious if you ever do this. I actually will talk to myself and I'll like record little voice memos of me doing that exact same thing that you're talking about, of like, why did I do it? Or it, like you said, like what happened that I felt that way? Like that. Yeah.
Right. I record myself like you do because I have a very good memory. So I can just do it by head, like in my head, like, but it's not just that too with like sleep. I also take afternoon naps. Like I take 20-minute afternoon naps. But you know, to tell you the truth, my sleep still sucks because number one, I'm always sleep deprived. Like I wake up in the morning, I have dark circles in my eyes. My girlfriend always looks at me and she's like, "Oh, you have dark circles again." I'm like, "I know, my sleep is awful. I don't even know what I can do to improve it."
Oh, that reminds me. I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt you, but back to the 23andMe.
Yeah.
So I got like the health report. I got like the whole meal deal. And that was one of the things it said for my genetics was less likely to get deep sleep. And I'm like, yeah, guilty as charged. Like I never get deep sleep. I'm same way. Like I always wake up and it's like, did I sleep? I don't know. It's awful. Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. Like, what the hell are you supposed to do? So like I've literally taken every advice that is possible. So
Me too.
Like there's an author, his name's Nick Little Hales. He talks about like, he has a book called Sleep, and he talks about like the optimal sleep environment. So like, you know, completely dark room.
Yep.
Yeah, linen sheets. So I have linen sheets. I have an air filter. I take magnesium.
Yeah.
I take magnesium supplements.
Yep.
I have a blue light blocker on my phone and my laptop, and
I've done all that stuff too.
Yeah, like I'm doing all this shit, right? And it would work temporarily, and then it would go back to some BS where like my sleep is terrible. Like the only time that I can sleep like well, from my experience, is if I'm staying in a really nice hotel, or like
I've had that too. Yeah, if you get a good, like I stayed at a Ritz-Carlton once. It had such a comfortable bed and the blackout sheets. And it was great. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but we can't do that all the time. It's too expensive.
And
that's not gonna work out.
You don't have kids yet either, do you?
No, I don't have kids, so I can't imagine how bad yours is.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah.
And like, you know, like my girlfriend, when she lies down on her bed, she's out cold, right? I'm like, oh my God. Like, no, when I'm traveling, I sleep really good. Like I can stay in a hostel with like 20 idiots in there.
Yeah.
I sleep so good. Like it's so good. I wake up the next day, I'm like, I'm good to go. And
do you think that you're burning out your play energy or something? Is that why? Like, because you're playing and you're consumed when you're traveling, you're doing all your gatherings. So is that like getting you tired enough to actually sleep? Because I feel like that's why I don't sleep well, is because that sort of play consume EP-ness. There, I said it. EP nature.
Oh yeah, the
EP-ness. My EP-ness.
Yeah.
It's just like cranking. And it's like, stop. Like, I don't know if that's why.
I've thought about that, you know, like, do we need to exercise more to get that play energy out?
Maybe.
And I noticed that when I do exercise more, I'm more well-spoken afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
that's your blast.
That jittery kind of goes out, and I'm more calm when I speak.
Yeah.
But no, that doesn't help me sleep, because I've killed myself teaching spin, and I'm absolutely spent, and I still can't sleep. So
that's different. Yeah.
So I think you need to burn yourself out mentally, and I think
absolutely.
I think, like, this is just my theory. I don't know if there's any validity to this, but like, you know, we were talking about in the Facebook group, like in the ancient days, the ENFPs were the diplomats or the scout, right?
Right. Yeah.
So our task was to gather information for the tribe, essentially.
Yes.
Like, and we are the master of that. Like, no one is better than us at that. Plus, we're a double decider too, right? So we're less likely to get killed.
Yeah. We're less likely to piss somebody. Well, I don't know if we're less likely.
No, because if we piss someone off, we can fix it.
We can fix it. Yeah.
So when I was traveling a lot, I was sleeping pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe what that meant to me was that maybe ENFPs were meant to be kind of like that person that had to keep moving from point A to point B, and then when you get to point B, you gather some information, and then you can rest. So I feel like my job today has been completed. But then now we work in society. We're boxed in a facility.
Yeah.
You're doing IJ or EJ type of work.
Right.
Genetically, that's not what we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, maybe, maybe there's a part of you that says, hey, you know what? You didn't accomplish what you
meant to do, kind of
what
thing.
you're meant to do, right? Your DNA.
Yeah.
And as a result, you're not allowed to sleep yet until you get your job until you get the job done.
Yeah. Okay. Now, great. Now I need to sleep process on that. Like, how do I hack that then to fool myself into thinking that I did?
Right. But so when I travel, hey, I sleep so good. Like with that 1 year, I lost like 8 pounds, from like my cortisol dropped because I'm not as stressed out. I felt fulfilled. I felt like I was doing the thing I'm supposed to do. And then when I came back, I don't know, I wouldn't say depression set in, but I kind of realized like, oh, whatever I'm doing here is not what I'm supposed to do. Right. What I was doing before, that was what genetically or something what I was supposed to do.
Like, yeah. Like I think, I don't know if this was before or after you joined the little group chat, but at one point all of us ENFPs were saying that like our heart rates are all higher and stuff like that. So maybe it's like our bodies are on this like alert state of, scouting. We got to go find the stuff. And until we find that, until we've like done our purpose and completed, then we can rest. And we're not getting that. So,
yeah.
All right.
Well, because you're always scanning the room also, right? Like you're you're almost scanning nonstop. Like you can't even turn it off if you wanted to. That's why the only way we can rest is to go to a dark room by ourselves, right? Because otherwise, like we're scanning too much, right? We're like, we can't turn off the damn annoying scanner, right? So
yeah, I actually sleep with earplugs in because I can't turn off even the audio scanner. Like I'm always listening for something. Right. So even if I close my eyes, I'm like listening. Like I mentioned that I went to Portland like a couple weeks ago, last week or whatever, and I forgot my earplugs. And the first night, like I slept like crap because I just was like hearing everything.
Oh, that's annoying, yeah.
I was like, I gotta go to the drugstore and get some earplugs because I could not. And once you have kids, it is 10 times worse because there's something just naturally with the kids, And my kids aren't infants anymore. I mean, I have my son will be 2 in a couple weeks, so I still have like a baby, but he's not like Sid's age anymore, right? But I'm still like on alert.
You have 2 kids, right?
I have 2 kids. I have a 5-year-old and an almost 2-year-old.
And so this youngest is a son, and is the other one a daughter?
Yep. I've got one of each. So I'm good.
Done, right?
Yeah, that's all I need. I've got one of each.
Yeah, that's perfect.
My son seems to be the little gather guy, so that's good. Hopefully another EP, and then my daughter. Yeah, well, my husband's an IJ, and my daughter appears to be a blaster of some kind. Like,
so an IJ then? That's what the IJs are.
EJ or IJ, because she's kind of EJ like she wants to like when she plays, she wants to direct the tribe, like her little imaginary tribe in her head. She's always like, do this and go here and do this, and she's like controlling the tribe.
She's obsessed with people. She's obsessed with people.
That's what Dave and Shannon said because we were yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we were there in Portland, and they were like, oh yeah, she's obsessed with people. Whereas my son, like I said, he's not quite 2, and he's learning to talk, and he names out everything he sees. Like, there's a truck, there's a sky, there's a cloud,
things,
a rabbit, things.
He's naming everything but people.
Yes. Well, people are in there. They're like mixed in there, but yeah, it's like there's Elisa, there's a tree, there's a cloud, there's daddy. Like,
oh my God, I'm so bad with people. I never remember people's names. Like, I go to work and I'm like, this person's been attending my class for like 2 years now. I'm like, I don't know who the F this person is.
I know I've seen you.
Look like I know what their family, even their life story I remember, but I don't know who they are.
No. Yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
I just don't care, like I just don't care.
Well, yeah, exactly. You didn't care enough to keep that information in your head.
No.
Yeah. So I think we've gone down the list. Anything else you wanted to add about anything? I mean, I think we've gone through everything I wanted to chat about.
I don't know. I feel like we're missing something actually, but
Well, let's see. We talked. Well, you don't have masculine, because the difference between you and I is, I've got the masculine TE. Yours is feminine. We talked to that.
Right.
Blast and the consume, like who knows, right? It's still kind of in the like process box.
Yeah, so you wanted to talk to me about something.
Oh, there was something. That's right.
So you wanted to talk to me about, so you're 35 and you were asking me about being a digital nomad or something like
That's what it was.
something like that. Like, he's like, we're both the same age and we're
Yep.
like in the same, like, you have kids, I don't, but.
I took a screenshot. Yeah. I
So
took a
what was that you wanted to?
Well, we a little bit talked about it, about the fact that you've got a nice like plan in your head. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like, and so I've had the similar experience, except for that, like in my case, even from the time I was like 5 years old, I knew I wanted to be in aerospace. Like I thought I wanted to be an astronaut.
yeah,
And like I was one of those kids, you know, all the kids say I want to be an astronaut or I want to be a paleontologist or whatever. But no, I was like dead serious. Like, no, I want to be an astronaut. Like,
yeah,
for real. So I got a degree in aerospace engineering, and I did like a lot of flight testing, which is very astronaut like. And so
yeah.
I think I kind of like worked that out of my system. So I think what we were talking about was, yeah, that sort of like knowing what you want from a sort of an early age and being able to just kind of
Hold on.
manage.
So did you not want to be an astronaut anymore?
Well, so that's where maybe, although I was like, how much time do we have? But like where I am now, I know what you mean about, you know, not wanting to do a 9 to 5 kind of thing, you know, and maybe that's just a typical ENFP, typical EP doesn't want to sit at a desk 9 to 5, right? And
Right.
so yeah, like it perked my it kind of got my attention. We were like, oh yeah, I want to be a digital nomad until my kid gets in kindergarten, and then put roots down. And I was wondering, like, what kind of roots? Like, do you have a plan in mind for the roots that you would put down? And what would that be? Like once you're done with your gather time, if you will, or
Yeah.
will you ever be done? That's what I wanted to chat about. You're right. There was something.
Well, because my T and my N is feminine,
Yeah.
so I'm flexible how I would achieve that. I have a general outline of how I plan on doing that, so I can share the general outline with you. So
Yeah.
what I originally thought is that so there's something called the 5 flags model. There's a book I highly recommend that you read. It's
Okay.
called Nomadic Capitalists.
Okay. I'm going to read.
Yeah,
I'll check it out.
it's you can buy it on Kindle. It's super cheap. It's like $2 or $3.
Yeah. Okay. Nomadic capitalist. Okay.
Yeah, fantastic book.
Yeah.
And I'm almost 100% certain that the author is an INTJ, like
Mm,
double feminine INTJ.
mm-hmm.
But his name is Andrew something Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so he talks about like having your. I know this is paranoia talk now. Obviously, he's an IJ. He's scared something bad's gonna happen. So,
Yeah.
but I really, it just makes too much sense not to listen to it.
Yeah.
So he said, put your money in a foreign bank account
Yeah.
so that if your country implodes, I know this sounds stupid, then your money is safe.
Well, it's very IJ. That does sound very IJ.
I know it does, but he backed it up with sensory facts.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
the U.S. Treasury owes X amount of trillion of dollars,
Right.
and there's no way they're gonna pay it back. Like there's no source for, and because all the future presidents wants a more socialist government, and socialists giving away free money, and
Yeah.
more, and that money has to come from somewhere, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's they talk about like the life cycle of an empire. So the American empire is now, I think, going downhill. That's you've already hit the peak. It's time to go downhill, right?
Absolutely.
And those are all valid points, right? Like
Yes.
looking at like
Yeah.
and I live in Canada, so Canada trades over 60% or 70% of our exports to the U.S. So
Yeah.
our fate in Canada is directly tied to the fate of the U.S.
Yeah.
So when the U.S. starts going downhill, Canada will start going downhill, just because of geography. So I was thinking, okay, long term wise, like in the next 20 years, it's probably gonna be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're probably gonna be okay. But long term wise, I want to make sure that I don't make the poor decision of being complacent and just be saying, okay, we see all this red flags happening in the future. I need to protect myself and my family when the time comes.
Right.
How do I protect myself and my family? And keep in mind, making myself happy, because those are all the important factors, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm going to follow the 5 flags model. A, I'll have my bank account in a foreign country. I'll probably pick Singapore because Singapore has the safest banks in the world. You want to have a foreign corporation in another country that taxes less than 15%. Can you imagine a 15% tax overall?
Yeah.
Flat rate, right? So there's many countries like Georgia, Estonia, Lithuania, Singapore, where the tax rate is 15%. It's a flat tax rate, right?
Yeah.
So you don't get punished for earning more money. It's you can earn as much money you want, and the amount they tax you is the same, right? Because like in the U.S. and Canada, the more you earn, the more you get taxed, right?
Yeah, right.
So they're discouraging you to make more money because you get punished for it.
They'll take more. Yeah.
Which is, I think, is bad because then you're not encouraging capitalism. And you're not encouraging being ambitious for people to be more ambitious. Then also, you want to have your so we got the foreign bank account, we got the foreign corporation,
right?
We have a second passport, so that if for some reason, so in Canada, for example, I'll give you an example. This one guy went through a divorce, and the government suddenly locked down his bank account and locked down his passport until the whole situation was cleared up with the divorce, right?
Right.
So he was now trapped. Again, this is more EP talk now, like feeling trapped, right?
right.
Trapped.
Move.
He's now trapped in his own country, and he doesn't have the freedom to move. So having a second passport gives you the freedom to whenever you want. And then the fourth one, there was another fourth factor, which I think is having your business in a jurisdiction that had, again, low tax rate.
Yeah.
So no, I think I covered that already. Foreign
you did.
Bank account. Okay, so sorry.
But regardless,
I'm missing something. Anyway, so you live in another country that allows you to live there without getting taxed heavily.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's many countries out there that allows you to do that.
Yeah.
So, and in Canada, for example, if I don't live in Canada for more than half the year, like 1 day less than half the year, I don't have to pay Canadian taxes. So then I can get ahead faster in my life. I live in Vancouver, and 8 years is impossible, right? Like here, $1 million gets you a shitty house, right?
I know. It's just, same here.
it's probably close to you, like just as bad as for you guys, because and it's all the Chinese people's fault, right? Like
I don't know.
they're the ones who are money laundering from China and putting it in Seattle, Vancouver, Los Angeles, Melbourne, Sydney, right? Because they're trying to hide their money from the Chinese government, right? So I can say it, I'm Chinese, so whatever.
Okay. I was gonna say I'm not gonna say it.
I can.
So you're essentially saying that so you'll have a kid at some point, and so you're gonna set all this stuff up before that kid gets into kindergarten.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get at.
I already have my second passport.
Okay.
I just need to have a foreign corporation.
So I am way behind because my kid starts kindergarten in 2 weeks.
No, you don't. No, this is my own personal.
That's your own plan. Okay.
You can do this yourself.
Yeah.
You don't there's no timeline. This is my personal timeline. My other thing is like, we all have that bucket list that we gotta do at some point in our life. So for me, I need to visit 100 countries before I get settled in.
Yeah.
I'm already at 82 countries, right? So I only need 18 more. So that's not too bad. And I want to make sure that my online business. So one of the reasons why I wanted to be a digital nomad was to get away from this distractions, right? It's like so when I live here in Vancouver, my buddies always want to hang out with me. My family wants to spend time with me. Like they're not bad things, but if you want to get ahead, you need to be focused, right? So and also like I just noticed that when I was living abroad for 1 year, I was a lot sharper, like mentally. I think it's because of that theory that I had where as an EP, your DNA tells you this is the right thing to do. Yeah. So if I'm abroad, I have this, I almost feel like I have this like, I wouldn't say fire in me, but like there's more, there's more like internal motivation that
I get it.
Where it's coming from.
I get it. Yeah. I felt the same way. And then I shared the people in my doc, you've got the people in your doc.
Yeah.
Watch those people, they have the same thing. They have the same thing. The people in our docs are just, it's like this internal fire. It's like, have you heard Hamilton, the musical?
No, I haven't.
Ah, dang it. Well, there's just like the main character who's based on Alexander Hamilton, you know, they're always asking like, why do you write like you're running out of time? Because he's just like constantly going. So
Yeah.
there is something I can totally relate to that of just this, like,
Yeah.
I can't waste my time. I don't want to waste my time. Right.
Yeah. And like, I think the best way to describe it is hunger. Like there's more hunger.
Yes.
There's more hunger for it. Right. So
yeah.
I felt that when I was going by myself, and I, like the independence I had too, it felt so good. Like I felt like that pure independence, like it's just me,
right.
and I can do whatever I want at any time.
Yeah.
And for me to get from point A to point B, I have complete control over how I'm going to get there. There's no restriction. There's no obstacle. I can get there very fast if I do it this way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's speed. I also get the advantage of speed. You know, I know for this doesn't work for IJs. This only works for EPs, in my opinion. Like a lot of EPs who's done this actually have succeeded dramatically.
Yeah.
There's a, like I said, his name is not in my head right now. He's a redhead ginger with a beard.
Oh, okay.
And
the typical, yeah.
Yeah, and he's traveling around the world. He's been to over 150 countries or something.
Yeah.
He's making hundreds of thousands of dollars with his travel blog. He's not the only EP doing it, and you know there seems to be a correlation with EPs who travel seems to be more productive.
Right.
So I just advise that you need to grind your nose down, focus in your little box. This advice only applies to IJs. It doesn't apply to EPs. Yeah. For EPs, we need to do something drastic for us to get that laser focus. Yeah. It's not that we can't tap into it, but we tap into it by moving. Like we have to be moving to tap into it.
We have to be moving towards something, you know? And that's what I was wondering about, because like I feel like I'm at that point in my life where I need to start putting roots down. I mean, I've got roots.
You're pretty rooted already though.
Huh? What's that?
You're pretty rooted already.
I'm pretty rooted, right? Exactly. But yet I am an
So do you want to unroot then? Is that what you're saying?
A little bit, yeah. I think I want to unroot.
But you have an IJ husband.
I do have an IJ husband.
So that's like
and so I'm trying to figure out like how can I sort of unroot, like we were talking earlier of like hacking that so that I could be like rooted but also be gathering. You know, it's like how do I balance those two things? Because I got 2 little kids, one starts school in a couple of years, so like you know you don't want to physically move around, but how can I sort of like do that, get my EP purpose down while kind of keeping a stability for a family kind of thing. You know, that's why it perked my interest, because you know some of us don't ever have kids. That's the way they get around it. I know EPs that are like, I'm just never having kids, period, so that I can keep like a rolling stone, never gather any moss, right?
Right.
I've gotten the 2.
Well, you know,
I wanted them. You know,
you wanted them exactly. I want to have 1 or 2 too. I want some point in my life.
I kind of wanted. For me, it was this almost a similar thing of like I wanted that experience. Like I wanted the experience of being a parent too. Like as I'm gathering experiences, that's an experience also. Yeah, which it does sound like they're running around. So I might be running out of time here, but yeah.
That's fine. We can wrap it up soon. But for me, it was basically like I want to have kids because I want to give them something I never had. That too.
Yeah, there's always. Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah.
But long-term wise, I do want to start my own school at one point.
Yeah.
Like an alternative education, maybe for EPs. I don't know. I haven't decided. Before it was just for intuitives, actually. But I feel like the school system is meant for sensory.
Yeah.
Dominance.
So, we could talk for a while because you want to start a school to like just like a regular school, just a school.
No, it would be like the school would be 80% practical, 20% theory.
Okay. Because I'll tell you another thing that's like always been in my sort of, so yes, I wanted to be an astronaut, but once I got into college and I started doing the martial arts, like one sort of like backup dream or like number 2 dream has been to start, like you said, like start a school. But in my case, I wanted to start like a holistic center that would do like martial arts, meditation, yoga, right? And like
physical.
Yeah, like gather that stuff together and do kind of a holistic healing center. So I'm still thinking that, like, I'm still like, that's still on my list.
You can do that now.
You could.
Now you could.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you could do it like in a small scale, and then you build it up as you like. Exactly. I'm not building the school right now because I feel like I'm a hypocrite, right? Like I'm like, like no, I need to make sure that I am first successful before I can teach people to be successful. You know, I don't want to be those people that teach people how to make money and they don't.
Exactly.
They've never made money doing any other things, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well, now you're sounding like consume above blast. That's a very consume above blast way to look at it, of like, well, I don't want to teach until I've done something, right? Whereas it feels like blasters are okay with just teaching.
Right. That's why, that's kind of one of the reasons I disagreed with that. But you know, if I'll mull over it, like,
mull over it. Yeah, back to that.
Yeah.
Just see. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Yeah, they're moving furniture upstairs, so
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, this was a great conversation. Like I said, we could probably sit here and ENFP talk for
4 hours. Yeah.
I feel like, you know, it's interesting. So like I've had my OPS type longer, but I'll say you've been an ENFP, or at least understand that a lot better than I do. You have a much longer history with that piece. So I feel like there's a lot that I can learn from you, and, you know, maybe, I don't know if you can learn anything from me except for comedy. I don't know. I don't know. I got nothing except for how to punch people with your masculine TE that you don't have. I can certainly do that.
I learned about your 23andMe result.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So again, thanks. Thanks a bunch.
Yeah,
really
appreciate it.
Yeah, I guess that's it. So thanks a lot, and we'll talk another time. But
yeah,
that's
for
it.
sure. All right.
Bye.